And also I have bad lighting. So, hey, everybody, we're back. It's Tim Gillette and my
Woo-hoo-hoo.
co-host over here. Oop, did I get a
Katrina
echo?
Garcia. Hi, everybody.
So as you can tell, I'm in a different setting this week. I'm in my hotel in Houston, Texas.
And I'm in the
And
same
I
setting.
didn't bring lighting, but I did bring camera. I did bring microphone, but I did not bring extra lighting. And yesterday morning, I had the great light coming from my window. Today, it's like a duller light.
Ah, you look fabulous.
Yeah.
Doesn't he look fabulous? He looks fabulous.
And I didn't bring the other glasses, so you're going to get a glare off this glass.
It's all right. It's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to open it so it's a direct light. Anyway, so welcome to this week's show. Katrina and I talked a little bit about the topic that we want to talk about today because I kind of threw I threw a Hail Mary. No, I called it an audible at the last minute.
I had a topic, but we're going to talk about that another time. But this topic,
I think that topic will work better next week than this week because of what's going on with news, and we like to stay relevant. So really, we don't have we kind of don't have notes because unless you actually have some side notes on this one, I don't.
No, that's okay. I because this particular topic that we're going to talk about, and we're going to get to what that topic is.
Stay tuned to find out what the topic is.
This particular topic is going on right now. There's a debate in the Senate, and I don't know if it's gone to the House yet and been approved or not. But I'm
going to put it on a separate tab and Google this while we talk about it because the idea of this has been going on for years, but it does affect business. Is why we want to bring up this topic.
And it was voted to be changed in the state of California, and it was never changed.
Oh, really?
Yes, it was. All of us voted for this to go into effect, and it was never changed because there were some businesses that had argued about the time change would cause issues with the different countries that they're dealing with and so on and so forth, and that it was too soon and they needed time and da. But California did pass it unanimously, and it never went into effect for California. And by the way, there's only 2 states, and maybe you'll figure out what we're talking about. There's only 2 states right now that are no longer practicing this. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is. And I don't know if you figured it out yet or not, but it's.
But wait a minute, Ken, because those 2 states, the reason is because it really they're on the edge on both zones. But can a state think about this? All right, we are the United States, which means we're all individual states.
Yep.
Can we as states make a law like this and go, you know what? I realize the rest of the country's doing it, but you know what? We choose to opt out of this.
Well, like I said, California voted to opt out of it, and
it never did.
It never happened.
Yeah.
And we unanimously voted it several years ago, a couple of years back. We unanimously voted to have it abolished. Didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why Arizona kept it that way and didn't change it is because of the heat during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And the time zones and so forth and how that changes.
I did not know that it was because of the heat. I thought it because
it has to do with the heat because of how the high heat. Because see, I looked at this. I did investigate on this.
Investigate, even though I threw a Hail Mary at the last.
You did. I did investigate, and here's the deal. Here's what we're talking about. If you haven't figured it out, it's daylight savings time.
Daylight savings
time. Right now, the Senate has
passed it. Yeah.
That we're not going to be that we are going to be practicing daylight savings time or not. I'm not quite sure because it gets a little bit confusing.
So I pulled it up here. The Senate passed it, and it actually said it passed like
unanimously
in the Senate. And the idea behind what the Senate bill says is they want to keep the current, like right now. So basically, this would be the new time.
Yeah,
right?
So we wouldn't change. We wouldn't
change back. All right. And I don't know as though we wouldn't change back in November because sometimes when a bill is acted, it takes like a year to.
No, my understanding is we would change back
Yeah.
in this year in November. However, this would not take effect until 2023.
3, yeah.
And then we would change. And then at that
So then we
time,
would change again in the spring of 2023 and not change back at the fall of 2023.
exactly. Sorry, my
Okay.
husband's looking.
Yeah. He's just got to make an appearance on the show, just doesn't he?
Hi,
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah. It's a good thing you love him, right?
But I love this that it's going into effect because there's several factors. Is when it started originally, it was for the farmers. It had
Yeah.
to do with the time of the day and getting more time so that they could do the fields and that type of thing. And now it doesn't make sense. But as a whole, a lot of people have been counting on these time zones, and businesses, when they deal with other states or cities or whatever in the United States, they've got to figure out, oh, they're on this time zone, so that means because when it changes, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is right. When it changes, for some areas it's like 3 hours ahead as opposed to 4 hours ahead, and vice versa, and so on and so forth, because of the time change.
Mm-hmm.
And the only two, like I said, that don't change it at all and decided not to put it into effect was Hawaii as well as Arizona. And Arizona, like I said, had to do with the heat, because the time of the day and the heat, that it made more sense for them not to change it because of that.
All right. So I went to the Wikipedia page, all right, and I kind of use Wikipedia for a lot of things, all right.
I love Wikipedia.
Yeah, because Wikipedia is, you've got a lot of people who are editors and can edit it. So I tend to do that. It says the earliest use was like 1916 to 1966. All right.
Yep.
The early, but like 66 to 72, there was a federal standard put. And then they said in 73 to 75, there was a year-round experiment.
Yes.
All right. 75 to 86, they did an extension. 2005, 2009, second extension. All right. 2015, a proposal of an introduction of a year-round daylight savings town. So, now I remember this in the 70s, right? Is when it really kind of started. And, the idea again around the farmers and stuff like that. But we don't have a lot. I mean, we got to think about a lot of our farm states, but the Wikipedia page also highlights states that don't use it. All right. Number one, local observances that, by it was, I know for a long time, Indiana didn't. I don't know if they do anymore. Let me go check that.
Well, my understanding is they're all on it right now, with the exception of those two states that I said, which is Hawaii and Arizona. They're
Hawaii
all
and Arizona,
practicing it. Those are the only two states that are not practicing it. And a lot of people, like I said, in California, we did vote unanimously to no longer utilize it and just keep it, status quo. But it never went into effect because too many companies were pushing back, saying that it would cause problems with their other businesses because they dealt with the East Coast and so on and so forth, and it would be an issue because of timing and whatever the case may be. But now it's not so much an issue because a lot of us are virtual, and in those days it had to do with flights, having to get out there in regards to the flight times.
Mm-hmm.
That was another big thing that a lot of people were pushing back on, is because of the planes and the time zones and how it would affect their whole time paradigm, so to speak, when they're with their flights, and they would have to literally go through and redo everything. And that was one of the reasons why they pushed back in the state of California. A lot of the airlines said, yeah, that's not going to work for us because it'll cost us so much money to change everything and set it all up in respects for just California and da 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 da. So I think it's good that we're doing it all together instead of just state by state, because then it can be that way across the board. And I think it'll make it much easier. Plus, I also read that it's caused a lot of health issues, that when people change, they lose sleep.
Yeah, it messes with your sleep
It
patterns.
messes with your sleep pattern for at least a week to 2 weeks, and when it messes with your sleep pattern, of course, then people start to their, immune system starts to break down, and then they
Mm.
start to get sick. So they said it's actually not good for us physically either to do this change in time. So that's why I think unanimously they're saying, "Let's just do it. We're
Yeah,
done."
one of the things that uniquely that they did is they have it switch in the middle of the night, so they said, so it's not supposed to affect, but when you have to get up, an hour earlier, it does mess with your system.
It does.
And I
Yeah.
noticed as I get older, the more it messes with me. But I knew it was coming, so I tried to prep for it this time, right? And I started about a month out adjusting my alarm clock to go 15 minutes earlier. First week, 30 minutes earlier. Second week, 45. Third week, to an hour earlier.
I
All
didn't
right,
adjust.
the
I
week
just
before,
did it.
huh?
I didn't do any adjusting.
No. I tried that to see if it would work to help me adjust to it. Now, I do like that it happens on a Sunday, all right?
Yeah.
But always the Monday after it messes the whole freaking world up. I go to
Yep.
Starbucks and there's lines everywhere, all right? Traffic is messed up because people don't know what time it is.
Yep.
Um,
People are
but
late to work because they forgot to set their clocks. Oh my God, I'm late. I can't believe it. I didn't set my clock. I forgot. Da 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 da. Of
wait a
course,
minute,
now we have the phone.
have you
so
seen the
what
meme on
excuse?
no, have you seen the meme on setting clocks?
No, I have not.
So the meme, one of it says, what I mean, to help you what to do. All right. It shows you what objects you have, like
Uh-huh.
your cell phone. Don't worry about it. It'll change itself. All right. Your your car.
Don't worry about it. It'll change itself.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It'll be back in 6 months. Your your VCR, good luck, ladies and gentlemen. Get rid of the VCR,
Yeah. That was a pain in the ass to check.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
It's like
we gotta
that's
set
the
the clock.
VCR in most people's houses was always blinking 12.
Yes, I agree.
Um,
But I mean,
like
I'm excited this is happening because I haven't liked this change for a long time. And like I said, I was one of those that voted for it in California. It just
yeah.
never happened.
I know. Yeah, we didn't vote it out, vote on, but with the Senate, and then I read this morning, when I sent you the note, I was downstairs having my coffee here at the hotel, and I noticed one of the articles said I guess one of the discussions in Congress. All right, now it passed in the Senate unanimously. It goes to Congress, and it's got to pass in Congress before it goes to President Biden's desk.
Yep.
And in Congress, I think they're arguing about whether to keep it at this time or go back to standard time. So that's the argument they're having. And I think the reason the Senate wrote it the way it was is because it takes a year to enact the bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
So basically, this time next year, when the bill goes into effect, and I forget what, it's usually like a June timeframe that new bills go into effect, new laws.
Yep.
All right. They're not just because something goes through, it becomes law does not mean it automatically happens tomorrow and the laws change. No, there's a period of time it changes. And that's the thing. And that's why the Senate did it, because it would be a year from now and we would be in daylight savings time by that time.
That's of 2023. Yeah.
Yeah, in the middle of 2023. So I think that's why the Senate did it. Now, Congress, I think they're debating like it should be the typical, which would then possibly change the state of the bill to like November, or possibly it would be like a November date, or it could be
June.
it would be, it would mess with the system based on that
Yeah.
argument is
Yeah.
why, because it's when the
Well,
bill would be enacted.
And I personally, I think it would be better. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It just depends, because the thing is also when we fall back, there's issues because now it's dark when you come home for those people that would go off to the office. It would be dark by the time they came home. And that caused a lot of accidents as well, because it was dark now and people were trying to get used to that, not just to being driving in the dark and so on and so forth, but there, like you said, there's a different pattern when it comes to the traffic, and it always happens around this time. For about a week, everybody gets all kind of discombobulated, and the traffic hurts, the health hurts. I mean, your sleep patterns, it's all affected just by changing either forward or back. Now, when we change back, of course, we gain an hour, but it still messes up with your sleep.
Yeah. So I
And
mean, like let me ask you this, all right, Katrina, because you and I are both entrepreneurs. We both kind of work from home, right?
yeah,
How much did it affect your life, really?
it didn't affect mine with the exception of sleep. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Because truthfully, all right, we can set our schedules to the point that, you know what, we can adjust things.
Yes.
And we can now change for the winter months. Our business hours are not 9 to 5. Our business hours are 10 to 6, right?
Yep.
That's
Yep.
that is the advantage of someone like us, all right, where the typical person has to think about people traveling to their their office, their
Office.
job, the place of production.
Yep.
For them, it's going to affect more. But most of the people who've gone back to, and I know we talked a couple weeks ago, we talked about, people wanting to just stay at home and not go back into the office and work remotely. For them, really, does this matter?
No,
So,
just sleep. All
yeah.
it has to matter is the sleep and how much sleep they're going to lose.
Yeah. So my point in that is, if it's not going to matter in certain areas anymore, maybe it's time to get rid of it.
I agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. But but like I said, I mean, there are certain times, like when the springtime, we're having longer days, so we can be out longer and the sun is out and so forth. And that was one of the reasons too that Arizona didn't change it, is because during that time of the day is when it's the top heat of the day. So, and it made sense. It made perfect sense. But it's weird because if you think about it, when you make that change, like I said, now East Coast, you're either 4 hours ahead or you're 3 hours ahead.
It is. I have clients in Arizona who people are in my mastermind in Arizona, and they're like, okay, so now and like, okay, now it's easy for me to make the call this time of year because of the fact that
we're right on the same time.
It's a different time. Their world didn't change, and I want you to think about that. If your world doesn't change, how much easier would your world be if the world changed around you? So
that's an interesting question. How much easier?
So I mean, and my one client out there, her name's Bonnie. All right, hi Bonnie. Bonnie, Bonnie is, Bonnie too. So Bonnie is a sweet lady. All right, and Bonnie, because of the pandemic, it put her in a world of meetings online for her business, and her meetings on the one day a week that we have our mastermind online call. All right, it's easy to make my call. But there's other calls that she's involved in and that now conflict.
Yeah.
All right. Because of changing time. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what that's one of the main reasons too that the airlines were fighting back against it, because they've got flights going everywhere. And if you think about how it's going to affect them and how they've got to change everything across the board when it comes to the times that the planes are going out. And, granted, they have to change it each time this time change happens, but they've already got that into their systems that it's already set in stone. Now they would have to go in and change everything across the board as opposed to just during that time.
Okay. But here's another thing is, do you remember the great computer going to crash the year 2000?
Oh yeah.
Y2K. Yeah. Would
and
this
nothing happened. It just went wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Would this cause programming problems for computer people? My Apple computer, I never touched it. It changed for me. All right. But that's a program that Apple built.
Yes, but I don't think so, because originally they didn't have it built in, and we had to change it ourselves, if you remember. And then they built it in, so we didn't have to worry about it, and that made it easy. So, but if you think about it, and the computers already are smart enough to know these things with our phones and some of our clocks that we have that are automated, our cars. I mean, you've got Alexa, and you've got all of those that can help you change things in the house because of the smart houses. I mean, would it really affect that much? Because it just might do that little tweak and you're done.
Yeah, let's mess with our guest. Alexa, change clock. Alexa, order 2 rolls of toilet paper. I'm in a hotel room. I don't have Alexa. I have a friend who does online seminars, and he goes, right, he does seminars that are hybrid, and like about midway through his seminar on Saturday, he'll go, "Hey, let's mess with the people at home. Alexa, order 2 cases of toilet paper."
That's hilarious. Fun. Well, I think they're going to probably pass it with no problem, personally.
But we will still have to go through one cycle with it. So, and it's
Yes,
okay.
we will. But it's falling back instead of.
Okay, yeah.
I'm okay with it falling back. It's when it's spring forward that kills me because we lose it.
Well,
Well,
it would spring forward one more time though, if they did it, because it
yeah,
would be the
that's
middle
true.
of next year.
And like you said, it depends on how they're going to set it up. Are they going to set it up so that it's the fallback and that's where we stay on the standard, or is it going to be where we spring forward, where it's daylight? So
I don't know. To me, it doesn't matter. Our worlds will adjust once it's permanent.
oh yeah, yeah.
All right. You think
Yeah.
about it. This week is the hardest week because of the fact that we have to pull forward. All right. My Monday sucked. My Tuesday, I got in the car and I drove here. So like my world was messed up anyway. But next week, this is going to be the least of my problems.
Oh, I
right.
agree.
The
As
average
well as
person,
a lot of other people out there, especially now with what's going on. I mean, this is nothing for a lot of people, but for some, it's a huge difference. Especially, I mean, especially those that have sleep apnea or sleep issues. It could be a huge difference in their world.
But if you think about this is business things. And again, our show's about business. All right. You and I are business people. We learn to look at what's coming down the road. All right. We know that we have a conference that we're going to in July. We know that we have, we have to book plane tickets. We have to book hotel. I knew I was coming to this conference that I'm at, 3 months ago. I got my hotel room. I got my, you know what I mean? I got my travel arrangements.
Yeah.
All right. I got my tickets for the conference. We're used to, as business owners, planning. It's the average person who doesn't think about, well, I have to plan. Their whole idea of life is I get up, I go to work. All right. I stop at McDonald's to get my, get my sausage McMuffin. All right.
Dinner.
And I stop at the office. Right. I come home, I have dinner. Yeah.
Start all over.
Yeah. It's a routine. They never stop to think, I've got to plan my world. All right. They will spend more time planning a vacation than they will their life.
No, and here's an interesting fact too, is it's true that they will spend more time planning their vacation, but they will also spend more time planning their vacation than they will their retirement. A lot of us don't plan to retire. And as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we don't retire because, I mean, if you think about it, we have a good, we kind of have a good thing going because like you said, we can make our own hours, we can do our own thing, but we're also always planning. We have to plan for what's coming ahead. We have to plan. We have to maneuver whatever is going to be, in regards to the cost and economics and our clients needing something different, and we have to change and adapt. And I think that's the hardest part that most people, when I first started as an entrepreneur, that were looking at me and saying, "Are you crazy?" Because they were looking at that stability where a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we do have stability in a lot of things, but we don't have stability in other things. Like when you're working a job, you're going to get insurance for the most part.
Yeah. There's a check coming on Friday or every other Friday.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, true. It's coming. How much is going to be there.
Wait a minute. Do you know when your next check's coming, Katrina?
No. No. My next check comes when I send the invoice off to my client and hope and pray that they pay it on time. If not, then it's a week, maybe 2 weeks down the road. You're waiting until they pay you.
No. I know because I have clients who pay on a monthly basis, and I can tell you the date that their money auto drafts.
Well, and that's part of it too. As an entrepreneur, you've got monthly things too, as well as I do. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're first starting out, you don't think about that. You just think, oh, I got to get the next dollar. Oh, I got to get the next dollar. Got to get the next dollar. And the key, as we've known in entrepreneurialism, is to get that monthly income coming in and consistency, so that it is more consistent, like a regular job. Because like with the regular job, you've got your check, you've got your insurance, you know what to expect. You always know what to expect for the most part. Of course, until you walk into the office and they say, "Oh, by the way, this office is closing and we're laying everyone off." So
If you want your job, you got to move to Timbuktu,
yeah.
Kansas to keep it. Yeah.
How do you like Texas?
Yeah.
Because that's where I really
And it's unique. It's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the reasons I am an entrepreneur and have been in spirit my entire life was in the 1970s. I remember my dad getting laid off from job to job to job, companies just closing, and they moved their whole operation, or they combined it, and my dad's job was one of the ones that got eliminated every time. All right. He worked for companies that were like LTL trucking freight, and he was their mechanic. All right. And these LTL firms would combine, or, partner, or,
bought out.
they merge, and, well, we don't need this mechanic shop because we've got one across town. So
Yep.
your job goes. And I remember, countless times dad getting laid off, and that meant he was on unemployment for the summer. We didn't go on vacation. And
Yep.
I remember the one night it happened, and that was, I knew it. I knew the night. I was smart enough to know what this meant when he came home that night and got laid off. And I went, that when I grow up, this will never happen to my family. And I remember getting jobs. All right. Thinking, how do I start a business? I was always thinking, how do I start a business? How? I didn't know how, because my family education didn't teach me how to start a business.
How to do that. Mine
Right?
too. That was the reason
how to
why
get a
I
job.
started.
Yeah. And
I was with the third time I was with a company that got bought out.
Mhm.
And I thought, and that was, I gave, I started then at another company, another bigger firm. And I said, I'm giving corporate America one more try.
Yeah.
If it happens again, I'm done. I'm starting my own thing. I don't care what it takes. I'm starting my own thing. Once again, I saw the writing on the wall. It was too top heavy, and they were starting to look at laying people off once again. So I said, that's it. I'm making my move now before it even happens. And it just so happens that all happened literally a month after I made my move, and everybody was saying, how did you know? It's like, I've gone through this 3 times. I know. You start to see the writing on the wall. And that's why I started my own business. I was tired of not having the control. That was my big thing, was the control issue. I wanted more control of my destiny. So that was the main reason why I started. And boy, did we go way off topic in regards to daylight savings.
Hold on a second here. All right. So here, I've actually put this up here. So here, daylight savings time. Should we end it? Put this in the comments. All right. Hashtag yes or hashtag no in the comments. Yes. And that's our hashtag comment of our question of the day. All right. You put it in the comments, hashtag yes, hashtag no. As no, we're fine with it. All right. Some of our listeners come in from overseas, and it doesn't affect them like people here in America do. So
I say yes.
But here's a flip side, because now we're starting to think state by state. All right. Arizona doesn't. Hawaii doesn't. Then we go into, all right, if we change this out to a national standard in our country, now we got to think of borders again. Does Mexico and Canada change times?
Oh, that's a good point.
It now becomes more of an incident, because I think currently Mexico and Canada, all right, match this.
Yes, I think you're right.
All right, around our schedule. So do they end up having to change laws? All right, it can become a thing.
It can be a domino effect.
Domino effect. Everything. Here's the truth, though. Everything in life has a domino effect. And as a business owner, I know that every solution I provide for my clients is going to create a new problem. That's business. That's the world. The world's not going to change. That concept is not going to change even after you and I are long gone, Katrina.
No, yeah, totally.
People are going to fix problems and get solutions and come up with new problems.
Totally.
It's just our world. All right.
And I mean, in a business and on a business level too, there are a lot of people that deal with all of the different time zones in the United States.
Mhm.
You've got your Pacific time zone, your Central, your Mountain, and your Eastern time zone. And when
Now,
things change, then they have to adjust accordingly when they're having their virtual meetings and so on and so forth. I remember when I worked at Amgen, we had meetings in the UK, we had meetings in Japan, we had meetings in Puerto Rico. I mean, there were all of these factors along with those that were in the state, and they were from all of the different time zones.
mhm.
And trying to match that when it came to us changing our time zone,
Yeah.
now we had to sit down and figure out, okay, now okay, instead of 8 hours ahead, they're 9 hours ahead. Okay, so now that time frame's not going to work because now they're 12 hours ahead and so
Yeah.
now we have to set, and you'd have to try and maneuver all of that. So that's going to affect international companies, I would assume, because now they're going to have to look at those time zones. And if they're wanting to have that virtual meeting or that call, they have to adapt to that. And they either have to have their call at their time at 6 p.m. so that on the other side, their time is at 6 or 7 a.m. or whatever that case may be, because now it's changed. So it does affect a
Mhm.
lot of things. And I think
Mhm.
that's the reason why a lot of people, even though in the States we're ready to do it, internationally it does affect things too, especially if you're a business that deals with international businesses.
Yeah, but as business owners, we think about these things, but the average person in the world today, they've never gone outside their time zone, and most of them couldn't tell you, all right, I live in, Zanesville, Ohio. What's the time now versus the time in,
Time.
Woodland Hills, California?
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
know it.
No.
All right. I remember as a teenager, one of the second or third job I had as an adult was working for an Italian firm that made coffee packaging machines, and they had I was in their U.S. offices, and I remember having to deal with people from all over the world. First time ever. And I remember picking up the phone one day in the morning, not thinking about it, calling someone who worked in a factory in San Francisco. And it was 5 in the morning there.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought, I mean, my mind had never grasped that. And my boss just seen me doing it and he just stopped and let me make the call
I make the mistake.
and make the mistake. And then he came back to me and he said, Tim, it's 5 a.m. there. Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Oops.
And then it was because and then I really started to focus on it because I knew the hours I could talk to. I could talk to San Francisco clients, all right, after 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I could talk to, I could talk to our New Orleans, clients, after 9 a.m. Right. It was things that I learned about how this worked, but the uniqueness that I never picked up. And even though this was a daily thing, we had a window from when we came in at 8 in the morning, all right, until like 11 or 12, where we actually could communicate with the head office in Milan, Italy.
Yep. And then that was it.
And then that
They
was
were
it. And
closed.
they went home for the day. Right.
Yep.
Um,
Same here. I mean, at Amgen, we had a certain window, and it was a very short window, especially in the UK and Japan, because they were literally almost a whole day ahead of us. So we had this very, very short window that if we wanted to contact somebody, we had to do it very
mhm,
quickly.
mhm.
Otherwise, we missed our time, and we'd have to do it the next day.
Yeah.
So it's challenging when you're an international business and you're dealing across the world with all these different time zones. It's very challenging. And it became very challenging when we had to change for our daylight savings and
Mhm.
we had to either go forward, push forward or fall back. It challenged everything when it came to the meetings. And it got to some point where there were some people we couldn't include in the meeting because it just wasn't feasible.
It wouldn't
We'd
fit.
have to actually have two meetings, one day and one the next day because of just that 1 hour difference. It was too late. We couldn't do it. So, and that's something that businesses have to deal with. And so I can see how by changing this and making it permanent, I think in the long run it's going to be good for everybody because now they know, okay, this is the time. We don't have to worry about it changing. It's always going to
It
be
will,
this.
yeah, it will simplify it, but it will also,
It's going to be a little bit of a learning curve
it
up
is,
front,
yeah.
because then everybody's going to say, wait a minute, are they, oh yeah, that's right, they're not practicing that anymore, so what time is it over there again?
So let me throw a different scenario at you with this. All right. Is will this here, now that we take this, we eliminate this one problem in our business world, will this make us lazier? Think about it. Right now, it makes you think, well, I got to get this on the right time zone. But if we eliminate that thing, all right, think about this. As a child, I could tell you anybody's phone number in my town.
Yeah. Now
Mom
you
say,
can
hey,
actually,
what's Lois and Randy's phone number? And I zip it off because I
it's
memorized numbers.
one. It's
I
one.
couldn't tell you.
No,
I could barely tell you my wife's
I
cell
know.
phone number.
Yeah.
I can't tell you
I
my
mean,
mom's
that's a
without
good
looking it
point.
up.
Good point. But I don't know if it would necessarily make us lazier. I just think it will make us think twice about, I mean, it's going to be an adjustment, but I don't know if it'll necessarily make us lazier just because we have either an extra hour or one less hour.
No, it's not the less hour. It's the having to think about it. See, as
Oh,
businesses, we're always trying to solve problems, so that keeps us in a problem solver mode. So, and I hate it that I can't. All right, I keep seeing the glare in the glasses.
you
I
know,
just
when you
hate it.
bring this up, here's an interesting topic, and it still goes in line with what we're talking about, but
Mhm.
it's a very interesting thing. I don't know if you've been reading about the icing. It's called icing,
No,
where people immerse themselves in buckets of ice for like 2 minutes.
I did the ice bucket challenge years ago. I did it one time. I'm good.
No, well, what they're finding, I know it's freaking cold, but what they're finding is that it does something to your brain because your brain goes into overload because it realizes that it it's in a survival mode.
Hmm.
And when your brain goes into survival mode, you start to think differently and you start to look at things differently and you start to look at life differently.
Hmm.
So now this whole icing thing is starting to come back. And I know I read it with Mel Robbins. She's been doing this icing thing based on the mindset and what
Hmm.
it's doing to her brain. And she said she's finding that she's even more productive and doing much better in regards to her mind thought because her mind is being forced to think, forced to go into that survival mode. And when our brain is forced to do that, just like it's with skydiving or bungee jumping,
Hmm.
it's something that normally we're not going to do because it's not something that we think of
It's not.
as
It's not normal.
do. It's not something that's protected. And so it causes our brain to start to work even harder and think, wait a minute, because you're doing this, now we should start, we're going to put you in survival mode. And so it's an interesting concept along with this daylight savings time.
Mhm.
It's that interesting concept when you say to be lazy, it just depends on, I think, what you do in your daily life.
And I don't mean it lazy, but I mean it's like you think about the sharpness of our minds having to think through some
Yeah.
of these things.
Yeah.
You're now taking away that problem of having to
On
be
key.
sharp. Not again, we're eliminating a problem, but we're also creating problems. All
Yeah.
right. The fact that some of this stuff is there and it keeps us
Yeah, we
sharp.
are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. But I just thought it kind of ties into
It
just this
does.
icing and how you've got your brain in survival mode. And maybe that's part of what it was we're having to think in survival mode. Okay, I'm gonna lose sleep.
Yeah.
So what should I do? I'm gonna lose sleep. So
As a problem solver,
yeah.
that's what made me think about it. 4 weeks out, I started adjusting my clock, and I
And did it
remember,
help?
huh?
Did it help at all?
Yeah, I literally was fine and normal by Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
I didn't have much adjustment to do because you know what I mean. I'd already been adjusting my clocks, and to get my mind that it was a music alarm I have go off in the house, and the music alarm went off earlier. All right, which got my mind starting to be attentive earlier. All right. And then on Sunday mornings, on Saturdays and Sundays, in our house, I have the music come on at 7:30, 7:45-ish.
Yeah.
And I basically backed it all the way up to 7 a.m. But then on Saturdays and Sundays, it comes on at 8:15 because we like to sleep in, and just 8:15 tells us, okay, dude, it's morning. It's time to wake up. All right.
Well,
If I'm still sleeping.
here's the interesting thing though, when it comes to the lack of sleep, and I've talked to a couple people, when you change to this time and you get, hi, how are
You
ya?
return from the wilderness. Hi, hi, is that Robert? Yeah, hi, Robert. So
Yep,
all I
hi,
can
Rob.
say is,
Yep. Welcome back, Rob. But when you start to look at how it affects you, for most people, it's like the third day.
yeah,
So Monday, you're a little bit tired, but it's not too bad. Then Tuesday, it's starting to hit you, but Wednesday is when it really hits you.
yeah.
When you're like sitting there, and normally you're like me, I'm a late bird. I don't go to bed till like 11, sometimes 11:30 or later.
You
And at
kid, you.
9, I'm starting to fall asleep.
You kid, you.
But then you get caught up by about Thursday and then Friday, and then by the next week, you're good. You're good to go. But like we talked about, I mean, with this change, along comes all this other stuff
Well,
in regards to health and sleep detriment and the other things along with it.
so
I agree.
what are some? I'm going to put these. I just realized I have this other pair of glasses. I'm going to try these so I can see. I can't read and have you see my eyes.
Oh, there you go.
All right, yeah, there. So they have not in Russia all at the same time, and this can certainly add to a sense of disconnect.
Next, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, as we said, some things in other countries they don't do this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um
So it's gonna affect the world generally, especially if they're dealing with the United States. It's definitely gonna affect, and it's definitely gonna have that domino effect. And I think that's why some people were okay, let's do it, and businesses were like, well, wait a minute. I mean, we deal with these companies, and this is going to be an issue for us. So maybe we should rethink this because it's going to cost us money to do
so
this.
do you wait a minute? Do you think this time finally this will go through and get passed as law?
I think so because of the health issues more than anything.
I don't think they're doing this on the health issues, but you have
No,
a good
no, no,
point.
no. I agree with you, but I think I think enough people are done with it. Enough people are tired of doing it. Enough people have said, why do we have to change the clock? Why can't we just leave it the way it is? Arizona and Hawaii are doing it. Why can't we do it?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why is it that we have to do all this? And there's two states, in our,
In our
country
United States, there's 2 states, but both of
that
those
are not
states,
doing it. Why do we all have to do it?
yeah, both of those states, and I actually was reading through. So, in Indiana used to be a state that didn't change, and Indiana now certain counties change, certain counties don't.
No, yes.
All right, and Hawaii, really, does it matter if it changed or not? Let's face it, Hawaii's in the middle of the ocean. It is not going to be affected by the neighboring state. But Arizona is right on that line to where it really doesn't matter. Really, if you think about it. And that's why those decisions were made in those states.
Yeah.
All right. But we're all looking at all the other things. Here's a question I had for you, Katrina. Name a time where you thought daylight savings time was like a good thing and you look forward to it.
I can't. I can't.
Oh, no,
Because
no.
you
I
think,
can. As a kid, I remember as a kid in the summertime, all right, when it changed.
well, you had a longer day to play.
Yeah, you had a longer day to play.
You had longer to play because when we were kids, you had to be home before dark.
Yeah.
If the lights came on, you were too late.
You were
So
in
you
trouble,
had to be
yeah.
home before dark. So you could go out and do all the playing you wanted, but if you weren't home before those lights came on, you got in trouble.
But
So yes, you had a longer day to play, but essentially as a kid, I didn't really pay that much attention to it because I wasn't the one who changed the clocks. My mom changed the clocks. So
no. Yeah. They did it in March for a reason, all right? Where I grew up, I loved it because we got to play that extra hour.
yeah,
But if they'd have done it in June when we needed it, we would have caught on. very
Yeah.
early, but they did it. We were all, so by the time June came along, we were used to it, right? And
Yep.
here's why. In June, in Pennsylvania, we got out of school in June. Well, the next thing you had to
We
in
did
June
too.
and July was hay season. So
Yeah.
you was out on the machines baling hay,
Yep.
stacking it in the barn. So, I mean, and let me tell you, it comes in handy not having to turn the lights on to put that hay in the barn up until 8 o'clock at night.
That's why it started, was all because of the farming. It's so
I
they'd have
know.
longer time to,
Harvest the
till the
crops,
field.
because you can't turn the lights on the field to bale
No,
the hay or
yeah,
cut the corn or
yeah, and
Um,
that was the main reason why they did it is, and if you think about it, in those days, we had a lot more farming. We had a lot more agricultural than we do now. We don't have as much now. A lot
we
of it is
we
either
do, all
grown.
right? It's just not here at home. It's
No,
kinda like other things that we talked about last week. We have oil. It's just not made here at home right now.
no, no, and there are some things that are made here, but then they're exported out.
But
And
I
we don't
really want you to think about this. Before you think about this, think about that, all right? As we're thinking about this, you and I are like, "Why? Why is this way?" This week, when you go to the grocery store and you get a tomato, you get a cucumber, you get an avocado, whatever it is. Think about that person who had to go pick that, and will this change? Will this matter to them?
It will. It will. It will definitely matter to them
How will it
because
matter to them, or how will it not matter to them? How
I
there?
think it will because of, they're gonna have either a longer time to harvest it, or they're gonna have a shorter time depending on how they decide how to go, whether we stay pushed forward or we stay back, whether it's
Mhm.
gonna be the standard time or the daylight savings time, however time they decide that we're gonna stick to, it's gonna make a big difference as we move forward, especially with those that are in the fields and that are picking our vegetables and that type of thing. So it is going to make a difference, I think, for them.
Well, again, I worked on farms growing up, so I'm thinking about this.
I didn't, so
All
it
right. Yeah.
didn't affect me. I was a city girl, so it didn't
Okay.
affect.
Yeah. On the farm, there was two things that you know what I mean. You want in the summertime, you wanted to be able to bale the hay later, but you got up at 5 a.m. to milk the cows,
Yep, yep.
clean the barn stalls out. And I remember as a kid
And it was still dark.
going and cleaning out the barn stalls, and then hoping the clothes you put on still didn't stink of the barn when you got on the bus because you
But at
didn't get to
5
take a
a.m.
shower.
it was still kind of dark, right? I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't
it
light.
was.
It was still dark.
And actually, the barn we had, and like we didn't milk our cows. We just had beef. We were raising cows for beef. We had to go in and feed the cows, clean some of the stalls out in the morning, and the barn we had didn't have electric in it,
Yeah.
so we had to light lanterns to go
Ooh,
in.
fun.
Yeah, I
Sounds like
remember
you
that.
had a fun life. I was a city girl. I didn't go. In fact, funny story. We went to visit my dad in Arkansas, and he took us to his wife at the time. Her parents owned this big farm.
Mhm.
I'd never been on a farm. And they asked me if I wanted to feed the pigs. I'm thinking these little pigs, these little tiny pigs. Oh, I'll feed the pigs, no problem. I walked in and I had the shock of my life. They were huge pigs, huge. Fighting to get to the food, I dropped the bucket and took off running. And they were laughing their asses off because they knew exactly what I had in my mind, thinking there were these tiny little pigs. It was like, I don't want to do that again. Those are monsters.
Okay,
Never do that again.
but those tiny little pigs are those pigs that are tiny little ones. All right,
I
don't give
did
you
it.
much bacon or sausage.
No, I know, but I was a city girl. I had no idea. And boy, did I get a wake up call.
Did you know that that's where your bacon came from?
Yeah, that was the other thing too. You're gonna kill them for bacon? I don't know if I might want to give up bacon, but I'm not sure.
I got news for you. Them coming, yeah, those mid-sized pigs give me some pretty darn good ribs
I
to
know.
make my barbecue with.
But our fun fact today, which I thought was a really, I thought this was really cool.
It
I
was.
don't know if you know this or not, but Google has an option where you can get a word a day so that you can increase your vocabulary. But the only way you can do it is on your phone. And how you can do that is when you look up in Google a definition of a word, at the right corner, there should be a bell with a circle around it. And if you click on that bell, Now you'll start to get a daily word.
Is this in Google or Chrome app?
Google.
Okay.
So if you go to google.com and it's and also so you look up a word and there should be a bell at the right that's got a circle around it. And if you click on that bell, now you'll start to get a regular word that's sent to your Google email account. So you get a word a day so that you can increase your vocabulary. And it's all free.
So what's the word I should look up today to get this started?
I looked up insensitive just for shits and giggles and found it and hit the bell. And now I'm starting to get the daily word. I thought it was kind of cool.
Okay. Where is it again?
It's towards the top right. There's a bell like where the definition is, and you'll see the word to the right.
I didn't get the definition on that word. Let me pull up a different word. All right. Give me a fancy word here to go with.
Oh, utopia.
On a minute. No.
But you're supposed to be able to
I got to come up with a word that gives me the definition because it's not doing that. It's giving me like I'm typing in words that are like, okay, and this song is got that word into it.
You can do it in Chrome too, but if you do it,
I'm doing it on Google, the Google app on my iPhone.
Yeah, you should be able to do it on the Google, and it should have that little bell that's to the right, and all you do is hit that bell, and then you'll start to get a daily word, so that you can increase your vocabulary. I thought that was kind of cool. And another thing I found, which I thought was even better, it's a website called gadgets360.com. And it goes over all kinds of articles on how-tos and all the different types of gadgets that are coming out, different types of devices like your computer, laptops, phones.
I found it finally.
Did you find it? Gaming, apps, science.
So let's see if I can get this into the camera real close.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. And you can see the bell. Pull it farther over. Yeah, it's kind of hard.
I'm blocking my view to be able to try to do this because it's
on
a laptop.
Kind of hard to see, but there's a bell up there, and if you hit that bell, yep, see?
There you go.
Yep. If you hit that bell, now you get a daily word, and you can increase your vocabulary. I just thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, I have to turn on notifications.
Yep.
I have notifications turned off for Google.
And so now you'll get your daily word, and you will become more knowledgeable. We can use our word of the day. I just thought these were really cool. And the Gadgets 360 is basically the one who talked about this particular article for Google and how you can find this. So there's a whole slew of things on Gadgets 360 as well about Google, the new things they've got coming down the pike, what they're doing, as well as Apple, as well as Microsoft. I mean, it's got a lot of really good information.
So what word did you look up today?
I looked up insensitive.
Okay. Did it have a picture of me? Is that why you did it today?
Yeah, that's why I did it. I wanted to see if you were actually in the dictionary. All right,
I looked up unanimous.
Yeah.
I looked up unanimous.
See? And it worked.
It's
pretty cool. I didn't even know that existed. And now you know.
And you have been
informed. Thanks for watching so much. You've been informed. Look what you've learned.
You learned something today.
We've all learned something.
That Tim is not insensitive.
He's not. He's very sensitive, not
insensitive when you pick on me.
Very sensitive.
So I've got to go. I've got to go get another cup of coffee to wake my butt
I
up.
know you've got things to do, and I've got things to do. But this was another fun episode.
I know, and I still have to get in. I still have to get in the shower because, like, there was a whole alarm system going on at the
Oh my
hotel that,
God. Yeah, please do.
messed
We
my
can smell you
whole
from
world up this
here.
morning. Yeah. Forget daylight savings. It was the fire alarm at the hotel that there was no fire, and it made me wonder. I mean, that should probably be a topic some week. Do people ever listen to alarms anymore?
A lot of times they go door to door. Man, this is an alarm. You need to go outside.
Yeah.
I'm not going.
Yeah. You need to come out. All right.
It's not on fire. I'm not leaving. I'm
Because
busy.
most of the people like me, I looked out the hall. There was
Yep.
nobody wandering in the hall, and the elevator's still going up and down. I'm like, forget that. I'll
I'm
go back
staying
in.
put. I'm not going anywhere.
I'll put those on. I'm not walking out naked like this.
All right. Good show. Good show. Until next week. Thursday,
Yep,
our
ladies and gentlemen,
new,
we'll be
our
back
new
next week with
topic.
another topic. Another thing, all right. I want to thank, my co-host Katrina Garcia, who puts all these topics together every week. So, tell them about you and your business, Katrina.
Oh, I'm with KG Website Designs, and we help you build a website that not only makes you money, but that gets you leads and grows your business. Ta-da!
Cool. And I run Simple Easy Events, Simple Easy Marketing for those people who want to learn how to do it right without having a lot of headaches. That's me. I'm not everybody. I'm not for everybody. I'm just those who are sick and tired and trying to figure out complicated ways.
So true. So true.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Yes. Thanks
Yep.
for listening. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our Facebook page. All right. We need some more subscribers on our YouTube channel so that we can actually get our custom name with YouTube. All right. We're working on our webpage. We will have the episodes up. Episodes should be up on Apple. Trying to get a system down for getting those up, and they'll have the regular popping up on a regular basis. So if you want to listen to us in your car, if you are listening to us in your car, be sure to subscribe.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. All right, guys. I will see you guys next week.
Bye.